So, The Forgotten Garden by Kate Morton is a novel that she wrote and was published in 2008. And I only found out about it recently because I was in a bookstore and I was looking around. And when I saw it, the cover was beautiful. So, yes, I do judge a book by its cover. And I was reading the back and it seemed so intriguing because, one, it's about a garden, and two, it's about fairy tales. And I love fairy tales because fairies are cool. So I thought, ooh, and it's historical fiction. So there's a garden, there's fairies, and it's historical fiction. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to read this book. So I read it, and I actually made a video before, and I said, ooh, I'm going to make weekly updates and tell you guys how the book's going. But once I started the book, I couldn't put it down. It was that good. And so I finished it after 2 days, and then I returned it to the library. And today I'm doing a review, and I can't hold the book up, but that's okay. So, what is The Forgotten Garden about? Well, to sum it up, The Forgotten Garden is about a little girl who gets abandoned on a ship. And she lands in Australia, and the person who finds her can't find out her name because she's like, I don't know what my name is. And so they adopt her. And then 21 years later, her adoptive father tells her who she is, and she goes crazy. She's like, oh my goodness, I don't know who I am. And then she goes crazy, and then you're like, why is she going crazy? So basically, that's not how it is. It jumps to 2005, which is her granddaughter's, Cassandra's, perspective. And so, spoiler alert, not really, because it's in the first like 20 pages. The little girl is dying now because she's like an old woman, and her granddaughter's there in the hospital, and she is like, Grandma's saying some crazy stuff in her hospital bed, so I'm gonna find out what's happening. So that is the preface of the story. Cassandra goes and she tries to find out who her grandmother is, and while she's looking for her grandmother's past, there's a bunch of stuff that has to do with England and a big aristocratic family and a forgotten garden. So, spoilers, don't keep watching if you haven't read the book. But now I'm going to talk about details and what I liked and what I didn't like. So I liked about it was that it was one of those books that you can't put down. So she was, like, the mystery kept going and going, I guess. And what I liked about this book is the way that she writes is very captivating. You get glued into the story. You don't want to put it down because you want to find out every little detail. Although sometimes it gets a little obvious because some of the hints that she was giving, I kind of guessed it already. And then as the book kept going, the characters themselves didn't guess it. And I'm kind of like, you kind of dumb because it's kind of obvious. And then in the end, you find out you were right. So it's kind of satisfying in that sense. I really liked how she kind of incorporated the fairy tales within the story. And you can kind of see the symbolism within the fairy tale. So that was kind of nice. And yeah, there is a big part that reminded me of the Secret Garden, and I was kind of just like, you could have been a little bit more original there because, the sickly cousin, the garden that we're gonna make to make this person better. And even though she did sneak in Frances Hodgson Burnett, the author of The Secret Garden, in there, as if like, oh, the author got inspired by this story, so that's why she wrote the book. I'm like, didn't really have to do that. What else? I'm just gonna try to go through the prose so that, I don't sound whiny. Because it was a good book, okay? That's why I'm talking about it, and it was so good that I actually went to the library and I tried to borrow all of Kate Morton's books, so that's kind of showing that I really liked it. But because I'm a crazy person, and I do have reasons why I think it could have been better. Some of those things would be there was just like some really long-winded passages with minor characters, and I guess she was trying to make it realistic. Like from Cassandra's perspective, those people would be talking about small things that didn't have to do with the story. But as a reader, I was kind of like annoyed because this book is a pretty big book. It's 400 pages around, so you kind of just want it to keep going. And so yeah, what's another thing that I thought about the book? Okay, so I thought that it was kind of cool how Nell and Christian met before Cassandra met Christian. And it was cute that at the end of the book, Cassandra and Christian have this cute moments where they're like, I've been waiting for you. I've been waiting for you too. And I'm like, ooh, it's so cute. But at the same time, you're kind of like, wait a second. Cassandra got married, lost her husband, lost her son, and then this guy's been waiting for her. So for me, because I'm a weird, crazy romantic, for me, since the Nick and Leo part didn't have that much to do with the plot, I feel like the author could have left that out, made Cassandra a single person who never got married, just wasn't interested in romantic stuff, because the whole book she wasn't really into the romantic stuff anyways until she meets Christian. So if she just kind of left Cassandra alone, let her be single throughout her story, and then when she meets Christian and he says, I've been waiting for you and stuff like that, I think personally I would have liked that better, because then for me that's more romantic. But I do understand that Christian being there is kind of like, oh, you had such a tragic life, but look, it's a second chance. But so I understand, but that's just me. And this thing is going on forever, so I don't remember what else to say. Forgotten Garden is good. Now I'm on to her next book, which is something, I don't remember where I put it, called The Distant Hours. So I'm going to read that next. And yes, I hope you like my review. I know it's kind of weird, but maybe if I do more reviews, I'll get better at it. So thank you. Bye-bye now.